Hi, I'm Jeff. This is Tropical Plants at 53 degrees north, and it's time for What's Blooming In, and it's October, of course, so it's What's Blooming in October, inside and out. And what I'm going to do, as usual, I will show you one or two things of interest as well as the blooms, because I always think that there are more things to discuss other than pretty flowers. So let's jump in. And we are in. So I'm going to start us off over here with this rather nice Tradescantia Zebrina, looking particularly attractive at the moment with its lovely burgundies, purples, silvers on the foliage there. And you'll notice this one has a nice long dangly few stems there with not so many burbits at the top. And this is something I've noticed quite recently actually. If I just turn you around here, over here I've got Red Jewel, and Red Jewel I find, especially when it's in a really small pot like that, we tend to get these, the top ends of the stems, the leaves crisp up and they drop off, and the rest of it looks fine. So I've started kind of experimenting with it. You can see there's a bit of a couple of crispy ones there. So what I've started doing, rather than just like cut the lot off and leave it with no leaves, because when I've done that in the past, it just hasn't, it's just died off. You've got to leave some leaves on there. So I've just done the odd one. So I've done that one there, I've done another one there, and it does seem to be working in as much as see some new leaves forming at the top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait a little bit longer to see what happens to these two, and if it works the way I want it to, then I will start to, every so often I'll cut one off and I'll leave the rest of them on and see if I can get it to kind of resprout higher up. I mean, basically really it needs a bigger pot. I think I've proven time again that this is what happens. If I look over here on this one again, you can see it's looking quite nice up and down, but as you get closer to the end there, at the top, sorry, you can see that the leaves again are crisping up near the top. Again, I think it's because it's a really small pot. And if I just take you through here to the cooler side, and it's a lot cooler in here today, beautiful Zebrina, great at the top, loads of foliage, but it's a big pot. So that could be partly what's going on there. So we'll just go back over into the warmer side and I'll show you some more things of interest. So this over here is Aeschynanthus Hot Flash. I think I can pronounce it now. So this is a trailer, and I got this from, I think it was Dibley's, or was it Fibrex? It was one of the two. I think it could have been Dibley's. And great blooms, really attractive, but they're just about beginning to go over now. So I'm hoping that once they go, we'll start getting some vegetative growth, because it's supposed to be a trailer, so I would like it to hang down here. Okay, so what have we got? I would really like, and I showed this in my fern video quite recently, so this is Phlebodium Aureum Davana. I'm wondering whether that will go on a mount. That's what I want to try, it on a mount. There's no reason why not. They're epiphytic, they grow up in the branches and the trees, so it should grow perfectly well up there. So we're showing you some blooms. So obviously we've got the no ID Phalaenopsis. These two down here are looking particularly nice at the moment. Well, two spikes. It's only one Phalaenopsis. Again, no ID one. Sister gave me that one. Looking really attractive. It's a shame I'm doing this video a little bit too soon. The Zygopetalum is just about to come out in bloom. I've got two spikes on it this year. I'm really pleased that that's worked this year. It did start to show some signs of distress last year because I kept it in the cooler side. The watering I haven't found to be a problem. As soon as the temperatures are up, and I'm keeping it as a minimum of 18 degrees, not found any problems keeping this one a problem with the watering. I just basically wait until the pot is almost dry and then I give it a water. Sometimes that's taken a few weeks. Certainly this time of year it's taken probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks for that to happen, and it seems perfectly fine. The problems happen with Zygopetalum when you let that temperature drop. For me it was going down to 12. It not only has problems with the roots, but with Zygopetalum it also gives you problems with the foliage. They get little droplets of water on the foliage, and that does seem to create like rotting on the leaves. So we've still got this beautiful Epicattleya in bloom. It really is a nice plant. It's very, very vigorous. We've got lots of new growths coming, and I just can't get round to repotting it. I know I've shown you this before, but honestly, on a daily basis, these things are getting longer and longer and longer, and I really want to repot it. But of course, blooms are better, aren't they? As long as it's got blooms on it, I suppose. The main issue with it is it keeps falling over. Okay, so we've got our Brassia. This is very reliable for me. Looking a lot better since I burnt those leaves back in spring. I've managed to get it looking nice again now. We've got rid of all the old yellowing ones. We've got some nice new growths on it. It does have a scent to it. So this is Brassia Orange Delight. And this was one of my first orchids that I bought, so I'm really pleased with that. That's looking nice again now. A couple of ones not looking that nice. This one, well, we're not showing you the ones that aren't in bloom, but it's got 3 growths on it, so it's fine. I won't get into that. So of course, as usual, I can't have a what's in bloom video without going along my Mandevilla sanderi. Still looking great. Last year I think it stopped flowering for about 6 weeks. I think it was like could have been March, February, March time, something like that. You know, the worst kind of weather that we've got. I found with Mandevilla the temperature makes a huge difference, because the cuttings that I took from this, it's bloomed. I've got 3 cuttings, they've all bloomed, but they've kept very compact. I've not had one twining climbing stem on it, whereas the Mandevilla, and I've got another one over here, so this one over here, that's a very new one, and this one has a climbing stem. I don't know if I can reach over and show you a bloom. There you go, that's a nice one, isn't it? So this one is hint of pink, and it does have a hint of pink in certain lights. I don't know if you can see, if it's coming out on here, if you can see it on the video. So yeah, that's looking good. What else have we got in bloom? Can't wait for the Lelianceps. But over here we've got the, I don't know how to pronounce this, Beallara Purple Princess. So this, I think, is also a Cambria. But yeah, it's a nice blooms. There's a lot going on there, isn't there? A lot of patterning going on there, and I think I probably got it. I bought it just as these blooms had possibly been out for quite a while, so they are going over pretty soon. The Nepenthes Soper, tons and tons of pictures. I don't know if you saw my video, I have a couple of videos now on how to increase your pictures, and it certainly worked for my Nepenthes, with the exception of perhaps one. But I've got lots and lots of pictures on it this year, way more than last year. I think one of the biggest things that I did, or one of the most effective things I did, was to stop it twining, stop it climbing, and just by stopping it climbing, it seemed to want to produce more pictures. The lower basal shoots seem to be more inclined to produce pictures. A tiny little bloom there on my Red Jewel there. That's the one that I keep in a bush. And again, you can see with this one, it's beginning to crisp up some of those earlier leaves, earlier along the stem. Still, again, it's a pretty small pot. That might be one that is due a restart. Again, another video talking about restarting these things. I had to move my Tradescantia sillamontana over here because it was getting, I mean, even though they're allowed to get cooler, the problem with it was that the humidity in the other side, because they were lower temperatures, the humidity was condensing on the leaves, and these hairy leaves do not like that. You see, it's even killed one of the stems off there. And you know, the day after I moved it over to the warmer side, it had a bloom on it. It looked way better straight away. The plumeria is getting to the point now where it's losing some of these leaves, as it does every year. This particular one, it does get spider mite, and I've just recently sprayed it because it had spider mite again. They do keep creeping back. I don't know if I've shown you this one. This is a new Nepenthes Robcantleyi crossed with Aristolochioides crossed with Spectabilis. But you can see it's already a really small picture with loads and loads of interest and colour and patterning on it, so you can see that when this goes a bit bigger it's going to be superb. I'm really pleased with that one. And a new seller for me as well. Scots Carnivores, I think, up in Scotland, I think. Yeah, I think that's what the Scots actually relates to. I think his name's Oliver. But beautiful plants, really impressed with that, and I will be getting more Nepenthes from him. If you want to find him, he's on Instagram, Scots Carnivores on Instagram. That's the one that I'm talking about that never seems to do anything, Hookeriana. It just doesn't seem to grow at all. Somebody suggested maybe the media is too peaty. I don't know, or maybe I should try it with some more sphagnum. That one's still, that one's got going now. I'm quite pleased with that one. So you may have seen this one. So this is my one and only no, I say not one and only. I've got two Cymbidiums. So I've got Cymbidium. This one is Erithrostylis crossed with Dianum variety Simontianum. Bit of a mouthful. I don't know why they can't give these things nice easy names. It's growing on me, definitely. I remember it last year. I had it outside last year and it got battered by the wind and the rain, and I didn't really get to appreciate it properly. There's no scent to it, unfortunately. I do have another one, another present from Ed. My greenhouse is full of presents from Ed. I really must give him some back. But what do you give? What do you give somebody who's been growing orchids for so many years and clearly has his own particular preferences? I would have given him a Streptocarpus, but he's not interested in Streptocarpus. I can't really just give him an orchid that he's already got. I don't know. I'm keeping it in mind. There will be something, some appropriate present will pop up. So this was just a no ID Cymbidium, but I'm hoping next year that comes and gives me a bloom. I just thought I'd point that out. So these are still blooming. I brought these over from the cool side. I am thinking that perhaps these Caleria will need a winter rest, but I'll keep them going as long as I can. This one, somebody mentioned this was cresting. I don't know what that means. I couldn't find it on the internet. I must admit I didn't give it a great deal of time. So this is, I think I said it was a Pilea and it's not. So this is a Peperomia caperata Lilian. I don't know what cresting means. It's I don't know what these. I mean, I guess the blooms of some sort, but they're not like blooms I've ever seen. There doesn't appear to be, the usual parts of a flower. I can't see anything unless something opens up. Perhaps people who own these Peperamia things can fill me in on that one. So what else have we got of interest over here? I'm still waiting for this Miltoniopsis Newton Falls to give me a spike, but I'm sure it is going to. It's looking really healthy, so I'm sure it's going to. So is that it for blooms? That's it over here. So let's move through to the cooler side, which at the moment is where all the blooms are. So where should we start? Let's start over here. So over here we've got Begonia Wightii. These have lasted ages, he says, coming apart. So we've got Streptocarpus DS Frippit, that's still going strong. That's the Pink Layla. That's a nice one, isn't it? That one is Harlequin Sapphire, Harlequin Chocolate. The Begonia, that's one looking really nice foliage plant. This one with the purple on it is DS Caramel. What have we got here? This one is Harlequin Dawn. Now this one here, believe it or not, has won the RHS Plant of the Decade. Now what an accolade. So, not just Streptocarpus of the Decade, Plant of the Decade. It's got to be good for that, hasn't it? I mean, it's a lovely, lovely plant. I'm not quite sure what criteria they used, and I'm quite sure there's some orchid people might argue with that. But Plant of the Decade, out of all of the plants, this one is the best of the decade. So you better get yourself one. This one's going to bloom. I don't think there's anything to write home about. I think it's the foliage on this one that's of interest anyway, isn't it? Forget what that's called. Listarda, Begonia Listarda. Okay, moving on up. Like I say, the colours on this look really nice. This is the Zebrina again. These come into their own now, these Streptocarpus Harlequin Ice. They seem to be better at this time of year than the rest of the year. They seem to be better than all the other ones, all the other varieties. I know it's supposed to be a year-round one. A couple more over here. So we've got Harlequin Purple there, and then in that corner we have, I'm trying to find the label, oh, Lace, I think it is, yeah, Harlequin Lace. Again, move along. So a new one that you won't have seen. So this is another of my, it's just come from my wish list. So this is another Twinkle. So I've got this Twinkle here. This is the one that my one and only Twinkle video is on, which did really well actually. It had the blackening from the the real heat that we got this year, and it doesn't seem to have bothered it in the slightest. And of course I did mount it as well. That was a new thing that happened to it, but it's got loads of spikes on, so that's going to be great. So I got this one really imaginatively called Oncidium Twinkle Yellow. I think they'd have come up with something better than that, something like yolk or something, I don't know, anything better than just yellow. Now whether that's just the seller that's added that onto it, but it's a really nice smell. And this is what I said this on that other video, the Twinkles, the scent on the Twinkles, for me anyway, is even stronger and more powerful than the Oncidium Sharry Baby. A little Masdevallia Snowbird, it throws like sporadic blooms up, and it's thrown this one up, but this isn't, it's real blooming. It's real blooming for me anyway, as all has taken place like early in the year, like February, March, April time, that kind of thing. I did repot both these Masdevallias, and they seem to be doing fine since I repotted them. So back over here, so we've got my Drosera Capensis. And again, these were all seedlings, and I didn't realise they went so big actually. I did prick some out at some point last year, and they just died off. So I don't know if anybody has experience of pricking out sundews. I'm sure it's a thing that you can do, but so I've just left the rest of them in the pot, and they seem fine. I mean, the twinkly, sparkly dew on them is just spectacular, isn't it? It looks really nice, especially with these grow lights on the top from the roof shining down on them. My Cephalotus has been doing really well. That's done fine this year after me dividing it. There's a video on that. The divisions, which are over there, I've done fine. They've got nice new fronds, nice new pictures on them. So this one, I have to hold this one up so you can see the spectacular pink. Bit of a mouthful, this one. Tradescantia Fluminensis Nanook Lilac. Out of all my Tradescantias, this is the only one that's giving me all the colour at the moment. So the ones that were pink, the Maiden's Blush, they're just like a really boring, dull green at the moment. And I'm assured that come springtime, the pink will reappear. So I really do hope so. What else have we got here? So my Epidendrum Comet Valley is just about hanging on to a couple of blooms there, but all the leaves are turning black and falling off. Now, I've never had an Epidendrum bloom for so long, and like I've not seen the aftermath of it. So whether they do that naturally, I don't know. I thought it could have been the sun, and I've moved it over to a slightly more shady spot, but it's still losing the leaves. And we'll have to see what happens with that. My other Epidendrum is about to bloom. Nepenthes over here, so we've got Nepenthes Gaya. This is giving me tons and tons of lovely colourful pictures. They just keep coming and coming and coming, and over the winter I'm hoping that it doesn't, I mean it's going to slow down, but I'm hoping it doesn't slow down too much because it is really attractive. Moving up to my Coleogene Speciosa, that's given me tons and tons of blooms, and they're still blooming there. This one is very easy for me in this greenhouse in these conditions. It doesn't seem to suffer whatever I do with it. Wherever I put it, it's happy. And let's face it, we like plants like that, don't we? So moving on over here to my other Nepenthes. So this one is Nepenthes Burkii. A bit more difficult to see from where it is. You can see some new pictures down there, if I can just about grab hold of them. There you go. So there's a nice big picture. I did show that recently on Instagram before it developed these teeth. and there's a fly there just kind of crawling around it as we speak, and you can see all the nectar on the top there. I don't know if you can see, I see the droplets of the nectar. Lovely thing. I want more and more and more Nepenthes. I just can't seem to get hold of them at a decent size. They're all very, very tiny. I can understand it from a seller's point of view. You know, they're going to make more money off it. They don't have to look after it for years because they are really slow growing. I mean, if you remember when I did the one on the video on the Dendrobium Starclasser pollen, and it's still blooming for me. I saw Roger's video recently on dendrobiums, which was great to kind of brush up on dendrobium care. It's always great to have it all kind of summarised like that. That was really useful. This is about to come. This will be its 3rd spike there, and there's another 4th one there. So this one is my Boragera Nelly Isla Swiss Beauty. That one has fully recovered from its burning in the summer. A couple of cyclamen. I recently discovered there was a big slug over here that was eating my cyclamen. I came in this morning, I found 2 slugs. I'm going to do some beer traps, but the only problem is I don't drink beer, so I have to wait till I get hold of some beer from somewhere. I still really like that one. I've repotted that one this morning. It was in a tiny, tiny little pot, and it was drying out too quickly. So the Oncidium Sharry Baby, looking fabulous now, smelling glorious, really nice plant. I'm not sure whether this is sweet fragrance. I'm not sure whether it's got any more scent than my other Sharry Baby, to be honest. The other one that hasn't actually produced any spikes this year. But I mean, you know, it's lovely to have them in the greenhouse anyway, regardless. The scent might not be as much as it is. I think really it needs a little bit of sun coming through the greenhouse roof. I think that would really release the scent more. And unfortunately, in October and November and December in the north of the UK, the sun is pretty low in the sky and unlikely to provide much warmth. So another one that I gave me, so this is Phragmipediumane's Worthy Eye. Again, I've been really happy with this. I've got tons of bang for the buck with this because it's just kept throwing out bloom after bloom after bloom. I guess that's what you call successional blooming. My Cambria, again, I'll put a card up on the video for my Cambria. According to Michael, some of you might know him, this is Peggy Ruth Carpenter, and it does indeed look like Peggy Ruth Carpenter. Now, despite the spike that I snapped off it inadvertently, the 3 remaining spikes are looking fabulous. So yeah, that other epidendrum, that's it over there, and it's throwing another one up, which is a real surprise. Another dendrobium there. This was one of my first ones. In fact, I think I've still got the picture of this on my channel, the channel thumbnail. So this was one of my very first orchids. Again, just if you're from the UK, it's a B&Q one. I'm sure you know what I mean. Just if you're not from the UK, then it's just like a hardware store bought one. Another one here. Now I found this cyclamen here. I might have mentioned this on another video. I found that it's there again. Look, I thought it might be botrytis, like the bottom of the stems. There we go. Rotting off, but you know what it was? It was a slug, and I found, well, I think it was a slug. It was actually a little kind of slug-like creature, but it had wrapped itself in like a bit of a web, like a bit of webbing. Very strange. Never seen it before, but I did get rid of it. Now whether that damage, see, look, no. I'm going to have to really have another close look at that later tonight. I'll have to come in and have a look at it. So loads of Streptocarpus still in bloom over here. We've still got a few down there. We've still got these looking a little bit worse now. This is Fuchsia deltacera. My Bougainvillea still in bloom, losing a few leaves now. So this was the one I was talking about. This is the Mandevilla that I was talking about. So we've got your 3 cuttings there, and they've not taken off because I don't think the temperatures are right. We're going to get this no ID Pelargonium back in play again very soon. Nepenthes Fusca, that seems to be coming along now quite nicely. A little leaf jump there, a couple of nice pictures, and this one finally has got going. So this is Ventricosa. We've got some nice pictures on that this year, so hopefully that one will really start to move very soon. Okay, so the Adenium obesum, I've not lost them yet, they've not blasted yet. Todd told me that to hold off on the watering, so that's what I've been doing. So I'm hoping that very soon I'll have my very first Adenium obesum blooms. So that's what's blooming in the greenhouse in October. We do still have more to come, because we've got the Oncidium sotoanum to come there. I have the Twinkle over there to come, and I know if you've seen the fern video, you'll have seen this fabulous Pteris quadriorita. I mean, what a fern, that is just beautiful. So I just thought I'd mention that. I know not everybody's into ferns, and they might not have seen that video and appreciated what a beautiful plant that is. So that's for those people. So I'm also hanging on for, if you can see my Brugmansia here, even though it's losing leaves, it's like it seems to sense that it's coming to winter. I'm not sure how, because I've got the temperature and I've got the light, just probably not intense enough, but you can see it's got loads of buds on it. There we go. Quite a lot of buds actually since I brought it in. So I'm hoping just before it kind of keels over with its leaves, to get some of these buds out and some of the scent that you get on an evening, which would be really nice way to end the season. So I've got 2 deliveries due, which I'm going to make a video about, because they are hopefully going to be spectacular new acquisitions for my greenhouse, and they're all orchids, I have to say. There's 5 orchids coming. 2 of them's coming from Germany, 1 of them's coming from my usual cellar. So I'm really looking forward to those, and I'm sure I'll make a video when that happens. So that's what's blooming inside, and I will take you outside and show you 1 or 2 of the things of interest outside in October. So I'll see you round the back. Okay, so you can see what happens here when the rain gets to these roses. It's not the temperature that's making them go like this, it's the rain, unfortunately. It's a shame, because get nice weather some years we can go right the way through till December. So we have a little bit of kind of late autumn flower and colour here. I like this in particular. This is the Chinese lantern plant, which I don't see many of in England, even though they are really hardy. I really quite like them. My little table of carnivorous plants here still looking good before all the leaves drop on them and the weather does them in. I have a great big massive fence full of various ivies. It took them a few years to get going, but you can see here it goes all the way. It's about 30 metres to the end there. Lovely maple going, it's beautiful red colour at this time of year, the Acer. And you can see the leaves already dropping. There's still some colour though, still some colour available. This nice Hebe here, I don't know which one it is, but so this fuchsia is very late flowerer, and eventually the weather will get to it and everything will drop off. So over here we have a little bit of autumn colour, the Hydrangea paniculata looking absolutely fabulous, getting pinker and pinker, and then a lovely azalea in the background there with the cornus behind that, the dogwood behind that. You can see all the leaves dropping now. And we have my favourite Sorbus Pink Pagoda. You can see how the leaves are going to go on here, which really match very well with the very, very pink and some white the berries. It is my favourite tree, this, that I have in my garden anyway. There's so many favourites, and hopefully you can see why I'm so keen on it. But you can see how things have changed, definitely. We've still got the odd little splash of colour. We've got 1 or 2 of the salvias still going, and again this is another cornus here which has like green stems, like really pale green stems. The magnolia also beginning to turn yellow. That does go really rather nice yellow, and just to kind of finish off here, you can see that I have a very big job ahead of me, as all these leaves from these 200-year-old sycamore trees will no doubt drop into my garden for me to clear. So with that, I shall leave you for now. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.